Hey everyone, welcome back to Coding Artist. In today's video, we are building a fun and interactive rock paper scissors game using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You'll learn how to structure your layout, style it beautifully, and add logic that makes the game playable. I'll type out the entire code with you step by step and explain every single line so even a beginner can follow along. And at the end, we'll have a working game you can play with your friends right in your browser. So open up your code editor and let's get started. Before moving further, let's see how the game works.
We'll start with HTML. Inside the body tag, I have created a div with the class container. This acts as the main wrapper for the entire game. All the game content will be placed inside the container. Next, we have the score section. This section displays the current score. It has two lines, one for the computer and one for the user. I have wrapped the actual score values inside the span elements and given them unique IDs so we can dynamically update the scores using JavaScript later. Next is the weapons section. It contains three buttons, one for each rock, paper and scissors. Each button has an image and on-click event that calls the checker function with the selected choice. When the user clicks a button, this function will run and decide the winner. The final section shows the results. Again, I have added unique IDs to each paragraph so that we can update them using JavaScript. Finally, I close the container and the body tag. Now let's move on to CSS. First, I've added a global reset using the universal selector. It removes the default padding and margin and sets the box sizing to border box for easier layout control. Then I style the body with Poppins font and a light gray background. The container class enters the game on the screen using absolute positioning and transform. I have limited its width, added a padding and a white background, rounded corners and a soft drop shadow for a card-like effect. The Scores class pushes the Score section away from the buttons using bottom margin and aligns the text to right for a neat scoreboard-like layout. The Weapons class uses Flexbox to space the buttons evenly across the row. It keeps the layout responsive and centered using margin and justify content space around. Each button has a green background and is perfectly circular using border radius 50% and has no background, no border or outline. I have also added a pointer cursor to indicate it's clickable. I have matched the image size inside each button to buttons dimensions so they fit perfectly. The Details class adds space above the results section and centers all text. I have styled the result paragraph with padding of fixed width and bold text. Also, I have given the choice paragraphs a little margin and style spans for emphasis. Now coming to JavaScript, we begin by creating two variables, computer score and user score. They are initialized to 0 and will track the number of wins for each side. Then I store a reference to result paragraph using getElement by ID result. This element will be used to display the message whether you win, lose or draw. Next, we have the choice object. This object defines all possible outcomes of the game. For example, if the user picks rock and the computer picks scissor, the result is a win. Each key in this object is a player's choice and it maps to another object that compares against the opponent's choice. This makes it super easy to determine the result in just one line later. This checker function runs whenever a user clicks on the button. The input parameter represents the user's choice, rock, paper or scissors. Then I create an array of possible choices for the computer. Using math.random and math.floor, I randomly pick one of those choices for the computer. Next, I update the game interface to show what both the user and the computer have picked. I am using inner HTML to set the content of each paragraph. Notice how I convert the choices to uppercase and wrap them in span text. This is just to style them more clearly. Then I store the randomly chosen computer option in a variable called computer choice. To found Then I store the randomly chosen computer option in a variable called computer choice. To find out who wins, I look up choices object in brackets input and in brackets computer choice. This returns either win, loss or draw. Based on that, I update the result box, changing its text and background color and an increment the score wherever needed. Finally, I update the scores on the screen. I get the elements by their IDs and set the inner HTML to updated values of user score and computer score. And that's the full logic behind the game. When the user clicks a button, it triggers the checker function, randomly picks a computer choice, compares both the choices using logic, updates the result, and refreshes the score. With this, we have fully working a rock paper scissors game built with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.